Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday, the 14th of August. So, first things first, let's just have a quick look at the news and I'll pop that button on there. Coming out today, let's just look at what's left for today. Now, we've had the Reserve Bank of New Zealand cut rates unexpectedly there by 0.25 quarter. It's the first. They've now said they can start cutting. They were amongst the highest. Well, they were the highest, along with the US, of the majors, holding up there. That cut of 0.25%, not expected. It broadly expected that it would be left alone again, but that shocked the market. So we've seen a bit more movement action there. Then we've got inflation coming down this morning in the UK. Actually, it only shows part of the figures there. Here's the New Zealand numbers, and then there's the inflation there. So all the different constituents or parts of it, or different measures, if you like, actually different measures here. The core figure 0.1 down. And if you read my notes, I say my notes, the notes, UK forecast and whatever else, actually you need to scroll down a little bit here, and you'll see that the UK rate futures now point to close to 50% chance of a 0.25% cut in September. This would be good news for a lot of homeowners, I would imagine. But we'll see. It's still 50, well, less than 50-50, isn't it? But it's a lot closer. So we'll see what other data comes out that supports that. Aside of that, then all the figures missed there actually on the inflation data. I'm just going through. We just had the French inflation data coming out there as well. That's CPI 2.3 came in line. Slightly higher on some of these other numbers. So what else we got here? This has got a few more numbers. I mean, the French data on its own doesn't normally do anything here, but these are final figures, etc. We got some US. Of course, we've got US inflation this afternoon. I almost missed that on this system here. So we've got US inflation this afternoon. Again, 1:30. I should be really careful. Said about it yesterday, and it did really move the markets, but we did see. I'm now coming look through to the euro here, and it's the sort of mid-morning session that started. Well, I say started things around here. It's 10:11. It was about, I don't know, 12 1 o'clock actually when it really got going here and started pushing up. I was told there's a speaker there, but either way, this is looking a lot more solid on the euro now. Coming back to those dailies, you can see it's just running back to the mustn't be far off year highs here for the euro coming through. I think they were the year highs into that point, were they? Did we have a bit before then? No, it was all sliding down by. Oh no, there was still some year highs. So we're a bit off the year highs at the moment, but not far from them. So that generally gets a bit of a gallop up in the markets when we get near them. Perhaps we'll see a bit of a push through. Just looking here. This morning we've got this bullish engulfing from the flaggy pattern that's sort of sitting there. It is looking positive. Beware though, there is probably some divergence over that because of the way that it's calculated. There'll be divergences on some of the indicators for sure, so be a bit careful. We'll see if we get a continuation, but it is looking more positive at the moment. The pound taking a dip on that lower inflation this morning. Again, climbing pretty well into yesterday, and looking quite solid right the way through from the earlier stages there. What time? That was 1 o'clock when it really started getting a sort of 1:30 news really helped it there. Bit of a sell-off this morning at the moment. It's recovering from that a little bit now. It's certainly ahead of the mode that would have been, or the the average numbers that have been going through the middle here, but it's still looking quite positive overall. Whether we see any continuation to the downside of this, well, it's become a little bit untradeable for me this morning with that big move. US dollar yen. Yen started turning back down like yesterday, and I was wondering whether I'd missed the opportunity, but it's still very iffy here. Look at the shorter time frames. It went early this morning. It started rolling back again there as well, but yesterday it was trickling its way down. It has put on the upper time frames now a lower high in there. You see this high here is lower than the previous one. It's broken the lows between the two highs, hence it's a lower high. However, it's now starting to try to go the other way here, and it's a bit iffy. So I would tread carefully on it. It's got scope maybe for some movement, but which way now? Are we going to, the way this is turned here? We've got data out again later, the US, and that might be well worth leaving until that data is out. The Australian dollar, US dollar, as Australian dollar stroke US dollar. Again, good solid day there yesterday. Broke on through into the 200 there, but well, higher lows, higher highs coming through from there. It's tested. Well, come within a smidgen of its daily pivot. Maybe on some brokers that will hit the pivot there depending on timing, but looking like it's got more scope in that as well. So we're just sort of seeing the slight more strength coming through most of these currencies as they take advantage of those weak inflation numbers. But as I said, the CPI is out today, and that's very important, of course, and more effective than the PPI, so there'll be more weighting on that. The Canadian dollar here continuing now. It's broken those lows. Not overly convincing in the short term here. We've got a little bit of a bounce going on. In fact, though, that is looking like, well, we'll see what happens this morning, but we could get the rollover, the rollback towards its S1. It could be quite a nice little sell point at some stage. Took a while again yesterday. It's sort of midday as that news that really drove it there. New Zealand dollar. Well, the surprise in terms of the interest rate cut, certainly catching the market and seeing the New Zealand dollar sold quite quickly. Well, the way it's hanging around at the moment, I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a bit more selling on it, but with the weaker dollar, the New Zealand stroke US dollar might hang in there, may recover a little bit, but the New Zealand dollar may be strong against weak against some of its other majors such as the euro, for example. Other pairings here, Swiss here this morning. Morning-ish. Goodness. What we've got here, Swiss franc, then Swiss franc. Old Swiss franc himself is just still consolidating here, really, not doing too much. Bit slow. Looks like it's almost stepping out a little bit here. Ease back. Horrible day yesterday. It looks to me it's confirmed a lower high in there. It's structurally changing. Maybe this could roll back a little bit more, but yeah, it's not the best. Likes the New Zealand pairs, Euro New Zealand. Now this had triggered a trade for me yesterday, and it triggered an exit. It triggered an exit for it as well. Never really got going on the downside there, and that surprise news there has certainly spoilt things there for now. But actually, well, be interesting to watch this morning. It's up into its weekly pivot now. There is the scope for that to come back off there. Particularly, well, we'll see how it develops this morning. I shall watch that carefully. Okay, that's pretty much it on the major side of things. Quick look at gold. So gold yesterday's never managed to push back up there yesterday, but it is hanging around the all-time highs here. It's not far off them, and it wouldn't take much of someone sneezing for it to break through. So there's the potential of a continuation there. Oil, I was looking at earlier on the and it's yesterday a bit of a pull back into, well, it's broken through that weekly pivot. I'd put it down to the weekly pivot if it carries on. I would claim the benefit of it, but realistically, it's broken that pivot, and just the way it's sitting at the moment, bit ugly, bit uncertain. Looks like it could roll back again, and certainly on the dailies there, it did the double top sort of price action here, broke the low between the twos. So I've done a double top or slightly lower high, whichever. Anyway, maybe if we start seeing it breaking below, well, there's no point putting my prices or calling prices out here, because most people's oil prices are going to be slightly different unless you're trading off the actual futures. It's that sort of 4 o'clock bar. Basically, if it starts breaking below the low of the 4 o'clock bar, we could see a continuation back down towards its daily S1. So opportunity there potentially. S&Ps saw a climb yesterday with that lower inflation. It's all good news, and it's making the full or taking the full benefit of it yesterday into its 4-hourly R1. It hasn't caught the pivot, so there is the scope for it to push up towards the R2. Again, though, we've got more inflation data coming out later. I would tread carefully on this until that was out. Of course, that could move it and give you an opportunity to get into trades from it, but that's later. Okay, I shall leave it there. Oh, sorry, I haven't done the DAX. Let's just do the DAX and the FTSE before I get into trouble. DAX continuing its route there, so same. It's seen these interest rate cuts, or potential for interest rates cuts in the US, and that can be pretty good news worldwide, as others eventually follow. So the DAX is certainly seeing the benefits of that as well. But is there a setup on it? Not really at the moment, but if this continues as it is, well, hasn't hit the daily pivot today. It breaks at R1, R2's certainly a good potential then. And the FTSE a little bit iffy here. That again, though, lower inflation should be good for. I mean, it started moving. It's broken through the pivot here. Lower inflation should be good for some further upside on the FTSE. But again, US data out later, that could still affect our markets as well, but certainly a bullish engulfing bar or continuation bar as it is at the moment. Break of the highs, that could see further upside, but it's already moved quite a long way. We've gone through the R1, R2. Saying that, it was quite pinched yesterday, but it's at a sort of a more positive stage here for stocks at the moment. Right, I will leave it there. Have a great day, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.